checking if everything is okay with the live. Second, I think it's live now, finally. Let me. Okay, so I'll start again. 여러분 안녕하세요. This is Davide. Sorry, we're starting a bit late this live, but I'm making a bit different video this time. Many of you have asked me about South Korea, and my company also has an office in South Korea, and we are helping people that want to live and study in South Korea. So I thought to ask two of the students who came in South Korea this year to study about sharing their experience and answering your questions. Also myself, I've been in South Korea many times. Since Korea is very close to Japan, I tried to count before how many times I went to South Korea, and I think it's more than 20. Of course, all of them before the pandemic started. But being very close to Japan, it's a couple of hours flight, and it was easy for me to go there. Also, I've tried to study Korean before. 한국어 조금 할 수 있어요. I still wanna improve, of course, but knowing Japanese, it's kind of make a little bit easier to study Korea. That's why I really wanna keep studying and improving. So I don't wanna take too much time for this introduction. I just wanna tell you how this stream is going to be. In the first part, we will be answering, the students will answer your questions about basically life in Korea, things that you ask, the question you submit before. After that, I will ask a few technical questions you ask me to ask to Eddie from Gogangook, the country manager of Gogangook. So a bit more technical question about the application process, the deadlines, etc. And at the end, I will actually be reading your question in the live chat. So maybe wait 10-15 minutes, listen the interview first, and then when I ask you to write the questions in the live chat, you can ask your questions, and the students or Eddie will try to ask those questions live. And so what I will do now, I will call the two students in. So we have Lei and Marielle. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Hi, Marielle. And so maybe starting from Lei, could you please introduce yourself, Lei?
Yeah. So my name is Lei. I'm from Sweden, and I've now been in Korea from mid-August.
Okay, Marielle?
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Marielle, and I'm from Peru. I have been in Korea until 8 months already.
Okay, so both of you came this year. And Marielle, sorry, it's still a little bit loud, I think, from your place. So I will mute you and unmute you when I ask you questions. So I think it's easier for everyone to hear. So I would like to start with questions that my followers and people have asked me to ask you. First question is, why were you interested in South Korea, Lei?
Right. So I was here the first time 2 years ago, and I actually used Gogohanguk to study, and I had a lot of fun. And so I decided to go back home to Sweden for a while, work a bit, make a bit of money, save up some money, and then come back. And then because of the coronavirus, it got postponed a bit. My plan was actually to go back like 6 months or a year after I first came back, but it ended up being 2 years. But the first, why I was interested in Korea was the first time I came, I wanted to study fashion here. Because I saw Seoul Fashion Week, and I was like, this is an upcoming fashion city, I felt. So I really wanted to study fashion here. So that's why I came.
Thank you very much. And let me ask, same to Marielle. Why were you interested in South Korea?
Well, I'm interested to go in Korea because I already finished university. So, it started COVID. So I have a break time. So in the moment I was checking what I want to do. So in the moment when I was in Instagram, I saw about to Google Hangouts for studying English, and it was like Korea. So that's why I come to Korea and decided to come to here.
Okay,
There's my
thank you.
experience.
And yes, and how was the process, the application process? What type of support Goganguk gave you during the process?
Well, in my case, first I lost my password and also my documents, for example, about to my grades. Like in my case, in my grades for my university, and also I need to write a letter to the university what I decided to come to Korea, where is my plan for study. And after I need to take the visa, that there is more important for come here. That is the four. So yes, there's kind of the process to come to here.
Okay, and I'd like to ask the same question to Lei.
Yeah.
So first, can you tell me about the application process and how Goganguk support you? Which type of help Goganguk gave it to you?
So the type of documents I think were the same as Marielle. And then I also had to give a bank statement to show that I wouldn't work for these 6 months, that I could financially, survive. Also a resume, because I hadn't been studying for a year. So I needed to kind of show them what I had been doing for that year because I'd been working. And also like class transcripts from high school, and also the introduction paper, like who I was and what I wanted to do and such. And I think for me, Google Hanguk supported me the entire way, which was extremely nice. I basically got a list of documents I needed and how to get them, and then I fixed the documents, sent them back to Google Hanguk, and then I was basically ready to go. And then I had to go to the embassy to get my visa and such. But it
Great.
was a lot of help.
Okay. And I think next question is the probably the most asked question this year, which is how was entering South Korea during COVID? I think everyone wants to know how is specifically the process for a student or in general for a person trying to enter Korea now during COVID.
It was different from the first time I arrived. Like for example, I got a paper before I came to Korea, which was basically I had to sign that I was going to quarantine, and if I didn't quarantine, I was going to be fined, basically. And then just it was a lot of because I had to transfer in Finland, so they check your temperature before you could go to the next flight. And arriving in Korea, it was very smooth, I would say. Though I think we went to one control where they check like the COVID papers and that the PCR tests, and then we had to stand in another line to download an app which we used when we were going to quarantine. And so like an app that they can see where you are basically. Then we had to talk to with some of the people that work there, and they wanted to get a number, like a contacting someone to contact in Korea, a number so that you could call them and be like, oh, she's coming into the country, so they can like confirm that they knew who I was, which I actually wasn't very prepared for, so I didn't have a number. So I think that's something I would recommend is getting a number to use.
The number.
The way they told me you could basically to anyone. It could be a friend, it could be a family
But there has to
member.
be someone in Korea, right?
Exactly, it needs to be
Oh.
someone that's in Korea. So I think
It
the
could be
easiest.
Goganguk as well, I guess, right? In case.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
ask Eddie later.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way is to get someone either in Gogo Hanguk or someone from school that you could
School.
call. Yeah, and then it was visa control, and then we could leave. Basically, it was a bit different though leaving the airport, because you had to either like you had to have a planned way of leaving. Like I came with my friend, and she was staying in a facility, So she had a bus she had to take, but I was going to take a cab. So I had to wait inside of the airport, and the cab driver had to go in and get me. So I couldn't leave until he was like, she's coming with me, type of stuff. So it was a bit different, but I think it went fairly smoothly, actually.
Okay, and how, I know that I don't think there is any country that has a pleasant experience of entering during COVID, but how would you rate the overall experience of entering Korea? Like, is acceptable, or it was like really tough, or it was actually, not too bad? Just, in few words, how would you rate it?
I think it wasn't too bad, to be honest. It was acceptable. I did have a bit of a problem because I didn't have the phone number, but
That was the only
they
thing.
sorted it out, to be honest. They really helped a lot. He took the
Do you,
number from
do you remember
someone else.
how long it took, just roughly, if you have any memory? Maybe it was too long ago.
It wasn't too long. I was prepared that I thought we were going to be there for hours, but I think it took maybe an hour.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And moving to Marielle here. So, how was entering Korea during COVID for you? Could you please try to remember your experience and share it with us?
Well, in my case, kind of similar to Lei. Well, I'm from Peru, so I need to take two flights. First, it was the United States, and the last is for Korea. So I need to have too many papers with myself. But in the moment when I arrived to the airport in Korea, I need to read a process. For example, saying that they need to present too many documents about another temperature, and after and the last, they need to call to someone to in Korea. That I come to here, and they need to come for me in the airport, and all is okay. And after when I leave to the airport, I remember that I have like some sticker here, like it was like a for completely and okay, so I can leave for the airport. So I remember, and also Gogo Hanga helped me in that part, and the taxi driver, it was waiting for me, and he had my name like Mariel, so all the staff said me, okay, you can go, you can leave of the airport. Just, I remember directly take the taxi, and I go to the hotel. But it was good.
Yeah. So for you, same question. It was how would you? How was the experience in few words? Was it acceptable? Was it
Yeah,
very
it's
very tough? How was it? Acceptable. Okay. And do you remember how long did it take for you?
it was taken for 1 hour and a half for to leave
Okay.
there.
And what about the time you spent during the quarantine? How was the hotel, the food, your feelings during the quarantine time?
Well, and also Gogo Hanga recommended me the hotel. I remember it was Lumia. I really have a good experience in the hotel. I arrived like 8 p.m. to the hotel, so they are waiting for me already and explain me all the things I need to do when I start to the quarantine. So I like the hotel because and also they too much comfortable. And also the view is really nice, so I really like it. And the other part is about to the breakfast and the lunch and the dinner. They have like a hour, and they always knock my door and they say, "Hey, there is the lunch, the breakfast, and the dinner." And also they have a big TV. So I really like and enjoy to stay in quarantine. So I really recommend them like go to there too.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll go back to Lei. What I want to know uh, from you is more about after the quarantine. So, what were the first 2 or 3 things that you did in Korea? When finally you finished the quarantine, you could go out. What were the first couple of things you did?
What's the first? I left because I stayed in an Airbnb, so I left the Airbnb to go and meet my roommate or my now roommate. So that was like the first thing I did, and then I also went to Gwanji Market, which is a very nice market. Strongly recommend. Very big, and I also did like bit of touristing things in Gangnam, which was very nice with two friends, Swedish friends. So it's a lot of fun. It was nice to be out.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. What did you buy anything in the market?
No, I didn't. I just sat and ate food, but it was very nice. I had company of some like an older man and older women, and we talked a bit. So it was a lot of fun.
And now I think you're more like settled down. You've been it's few months that you're back for the second time to Korea. And how is your regular day? So what do you do regularly? How is your life as a student, as a Korean language student in a Korean university?
I think nowadays it's a bit different just from what it was like 2 weeks ago because of the new restrictions. So we've gone back to having online classes, and also everything closes at 9 p.m. So nowadays I am home more than what I used to be, but it's kind of good because I'm trying to study more. So it's good timing, to be honest. But I usually wake up around 8:45, and then I have class from 9 in the morning, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And after then, I usually eat lunch and then maybe nap, study a bit, and then I go out and have dinner with friends usually. So I try to go out a little bit, even though, yeah.
It's when did the new restrictions started? Did they start like maybe a month ago or something like that?
It was Saturday actually.
Oh,
So
very
it's
recently.
very
Okay.
recently. So
And before that, it was there were not restriction, or was it still a little bit restricted? How was before those restrictions came on place?
before when I first came, it was restrictions, so everything closed around 10, and then there was like no restrictions.
Open up, okay.
Like they opened up, and during that time, it was kind of back to the old soul. I would kind of say there were like a few things that were different. You had to do the QR codes and stuff like that, but you could go out to clubs. You could go have a drink. You could be like many people at the same table, and so it's a lot of fun. But now it's it's a bit
From
different.
Saturday, okay. Hopefully
Yeah.
they won't stay long. Maybe they just want to cover the Christmas holidays, since people tend to move more and meet more, etc.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you. Thank you, Lei. Thank you very much. And also, I would like to know from Marielle about the first 2 or 3 things you did in Korea when you could go out the quarantine. What were the first 2 or 3 things that you did?
Well, at the first time I go to visit my friend, I go to her house. So I meet a lesson with her family and we spend like that. And after I go to Jongno Sound Tree, because there is a really pretty, too many pretty cafes and also a candle place. So I really like go there. And finally I go to the palace in Insado. I did that in the moment when I left to quarantine.
Okay, and right now it's been a little bit that you are in Seoul, so I think you get to know more people, you get to know more places. I know now you're in a cafe as well, so I think you get familiar with the city.
Yeah.
What do you really like about your life in Korea?
Well, about my life in Korea, I like because I will be independent to myself. So they help me more because before I was living with my parents, so now it's totally me about my life. And then so I like to enjoy the moment with my friends, of course. Always when I go to class and I go to class and meet new people, so I like that. I like that. Enjoy the moment with my friends, and also my professors they are really nice too. So I like that moment. And also when I go to study, I really love go to cafes and study. That make me not so relax and can concentrate too much. And I enjoy to Han River. I really love go to Han Rivers and ride bicycles. Uh, there is stuff that I really like to do and I really love enjoy in Korea.
Yeah, I think that it seems there is a lot of things that
Yeah.
you enjoy right now. Thank you, and I would like to ask the same the same question to Lei too. What do you like about your life now in Korea? Now that you've been for the second time, few months, what do you enjoy?
I would say everything, but as Mariel said, also like the independency thing, being more independent and just learning to rely on yourself more, which has been, I've learned a lot. And also, I'm a very indecisive person. So, having to be independent and making choices myself has been very good. I feel like I've developed more. And also, just like when I came, didn't have a lot of friends. So that's also a thing that you learn how to make friends again, or like being more social. So I would say I enjoy everything. It's a lot of fun. It's a very, very fun city. There's a lot of different cafes, a lot of different type of bars, a lot of places to see. I feel like I was here for 6 months before. There's so much that I missed. There's so many things to do. So
that's pretty exciting. Like you feel like maybe you end up in a different station, and then there is a new world to discover, right? So,
exactly.
I always get the feeling in Seoul. Like, I mean, I'm based in Tokyo, but it's kind of the similar feeling. It's such a huge city with so many little things to experience, and that's very different culture from us. So maybe for Korean people, few things are very normal, but for us, even normal things are crazy, right? Are very different.
That's so true. Like even the smallest things, the fact I thought it was like the 7-Eleven or like Pyeongchang's sell so many type of different foods. I was like, what? That's not a thing.
I want to try everything, right?
Exactly. Everything is so exciting, which is a lot of fun.
And you say you are, as a person, indecisive, right? Did you consider also going to other places, or you just knew when you came the first time a few years ago, you knew that you wanted to study in Seoul in South Korea, or you were thinking about maybe other countries at the time?
I was actually thinking about other countries at the time. So my first thought was that I wanted to go to Bangkok because I had been there, and I was like, oh, this is a very nice city. I want to come back. And also I was thinking about going to Berlin or Spain for a bit, but then I ended up going to Seoul, which I'm very happy about. But before that, I was very indecisive. I was very much like, even like a month before I was going to go, I was still telling people I might go to Seoul, which was very interesting.
Do you have any regret having chose Korea, Seoul, versus, for example, the other options? Have you ever thought like, oh, I wish, for example, I was going to study Thai in Bangkok, or Spanish in Spain, etc.?
Oh, no. I definitely don't regret it. I think I made the right choice. Definitely. I had such a good time. I also met like one of my closest friends here. So I regret nothing. I'm very happy that I came here.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna call also Marielle now, because I want to go through the questions. We actually received quite a lot of questions in the streaming, and I want to see if there is question for students. There are a few questions for Eddie later, for Goanguk. Okay, for quarantine, one student is asking if it's possible to do Airbnb. I think you just said, Lei, that you were staying in Airbnb, right?
Oh yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
You found by yourself?
Yeah. So I messaged the hostess and asked her if it was okay for me to quarantine there, because sometimes the hostess, they don't want to take someone who's going to quarantine. But she was like, yes. So I stayed in an Airbnb.
Do you remember roughly how much you paid for the quarantine? How much did you pay?
Yes, it was around 5,000 crowns, which is about roughly 500,000 won.
Okay, so it's
Like
$500, right? $500.
Yeah, $500.
Yeah, like we are going very roughly. So if someone wants to know exactly, should do the conversion.
Right,
But yeah, around $500. And maybe if Marielle remembers. Marielle, do you remember how much roughly you paid for the hotel?
I didn't remember, but it was like 900, I think. 900.
900. Okay, $900.
$900.
Or
Yes.
yeah. And another question is about using the COVID pass in Korea. I think they mean the vaccine passport. I hope not the COVID pass, but the vaccine passport. You have any of you two have already the app with the vaccine passport? Are you using it?
I downloaded it, but I haven't yet gotten it to work. But I'm using the Kakao quarantine or the Kakao QR code where it says that I've been vaccinated. So
okay, and Kakao, for who doesn't know, is like WhatsApp, Line, but everyone has it in Korea. You know, it's like you can't really go around without having the Kakao. You cannot even make friends, I believe. You know, you have to exchange Kakao first, otherwise it's not going to work. But so for you, life, it's okay with the Kakao app, even though you haven't downloaded the official,
how they call
app for the
it's been working. I've only used it like twice, I think, but it's been working those times. So I think,
Okay.
but I'm gonna fix the other one as well.
Okay. Before I call Eddie in, I want to ask one last question that just was posted by Florian. I'll ask Marielle this one about getting food during quarantine. Can you go to Combini? How did you get the food during your quarantine time, Marielle?
Well, in my case, when I contacted the local hanga, in this hotel they don't always put in my room. Like of course outside of the door, and they always put my breakfast, my lunch, and also my dinner there, and also include about in the hotel. So what I pay, but you can't go outside. You can't go to any convenience store because you're in quarantine. So you need to respect that. You need to stay in the room.
Okay, so delivery was arranged
Yeah.
for you by the hotel, but you couldn't really go out and
Yeah.
even do shopping.
Yes,
Okay.
you can go to like delivery for that food. So I recommend you like that.
Okay, thank you. Same for you, Lei. Did you get the food delivered? How did you manage to get food?
I also, thanks to Eddie, actually, who helped me get a Korean SIM card, I managed to order delivery. So that's how I did it. Wasn't allowed to leave, except for going out to take PCR tests, which was twice. So
yeah, okay. So first, I want to say thank you. I'll ask you to stick along for 5-10 minutes while I invite also the one and only Eddie, which was mentioned already a few times during this live streaming. So Eddie, maybe just introduce yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from South Korea, and my name
Yes.
is Eddie. I'm a country manager of Gogo Hanguk. We have been helping students to come to Korea to study Korean since 2016, and this like fifth, sixth years. So I might be able to answer all of the questions on the chat. So here I am.
Yes, and I have first, before we read, there are a few questions in the chat that are for you. But before I get into that, I want to start with a question I received before the live streaming. So actually, a few people are really considering Korea now, and they wanted to know if they can still go for the spring, so for March, April. Is there still time to apply, and when is the deadline for submitting the documents?
The answer is yes. So we are still accepting next March 2022 applications. Of course, each school has different deadline. So if you can send us, I would say the end of the January, then you can still have the time for next March 2022.
Okay, so people maybe who wants really go to March can still maybe either of course, if they can start now is even better, but also just after Christmas holidays, they should have plenty of time to submit your documents. If they start early January, shouldn't be a problem.
Correct.
And how many months does it take to get accepted? So I believe it doesn't take as long as Japan, for example, because Japan, you have to apply around 4 or 5 months before. So let's say now I want to go in April, is already too late for Japan. If I want to go in July, I kind of really need to already rush a little bit, and maybe by February I should have submitted everything. So Japan has a kind of early deadline, but in Korea it doesn't seem so. When, how many months in advance you should apply to be admitted in a Korean language school?
I mean, I would more likely calculate it like weeks, because as you can imagine, we are, as I said, we are accepting next March 2022. So student can send us by the end of the January, which means during the January and March, there would be, I would say, like 6 weeks, 4 weeks. Then like that would be the like total application kind of like processing time.
Okay. Thank you very much. And regarding the requirements, also, a few people ask me, what are the requirements? What do I need to provide in order to get accepted?
So basic requirement would be only two things. So over 18 years old and being complete your high school degrees or above. So that's like two main things. And then on the top of it, based on your length of the study, length of the registration, based on that, it would be some extra documents.
Okay. And also, people want to know, of course, about the fees. How much would it cost, for example, to study in Korea for, let's say, 6 months?
So, of course, once again, each school has different tuition. So it's a little bit different, but I would say average studying 6 months would be about $3,000 only for the tuition.
Okay. And if they want to start, for example, short term, let's say 3 months, is still possible, right? So that would be about half.
Correct.
And by the way, in Korea, even short-term students, of course, doing the quarantine and PCR testing, can still enter. So even if you're planning to go for 3 months, if you're okay to do 2 weeks of quarantine, you can still go to Korea. Is it correct?
That would be yes and no question, but in general, yes. But like recently, from the September 1st of 2021, the Korea government launched the KETA program, which is pretty similar to US ETA program. So you need to check your country is under the kind of special list. And then based on that, you can study like short term. And then when you come to short term, luckily the quarantine reduced to 10 days from the 14 days. So you will quarantine 10 days.
10 days, and then you can study for remaining 10 weeks. So I know people watching this are from all over the world, but in my case, I'm from Italy. My country, is it included in the thing you said before? The K something, sorry.
KETA, yeah, KETA, yes. Italy is one of them.
So in my case, I could go for 3 months, do 2 weeks quarantine, study for 10 weeks, and then go back if I want to go for 3 months. Of course, if I want to go for 6 months, 1 year, it's no problem.
Correct.
Thank you very much, Eddie. I want to go through the live chat since there are few extra questions. And how long does it take from Florian again? How long does it take to take the COE, Certificate of Eligibility? I think Korea works in a bit different way than Japan. When you apply, let's say I send all the documents to the school, and I pay, I believe, the school give the student something right away, correct?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, very fast.
So there is not a certificate of eligibility, something that you need to wait to get and then go to the embassy, correct?
No, I mean, like when you pay, if school confirm your payment, then school will issue we call it COA instead of COE. So COA will be issued very soon.
COA, okay, interesting. Okay, so you still have this document, but basically you get it very soon, like a week after you.
No, less than that, much less than that, like
Oh,
1 day, 2
just
days
kidding.
after.
Okay. And then one question from Roman: what to do if Gogoanguk is not working with students from my country? Should I contact the? Yeah, I think
Yes,
there are people again from all over the world. What if we cannot support a specific country because of immigration and things like that?
Yeah, unfortunately, there are some countries listed that we cannot support yet. So that's why we want to do our best to support those countries in the future. So now, there are some countries that we cannot support, and they can still ask the school directly, and then get help and get admission.
Okay, and I think is it allowed for foreigners to get a vaccine in South Korea?
Yes, we actually want them to get vaccine in Korea.
Yeah,
so for that, for safety is always the number one during the pandemic. So we introduce, to get shot in Korea for sure.
And a few more questions before we wrap it up. Luca is asking, does Gogoanguk provide support for entering university in Korea after language courses? So I study Korea, learn Korean, then I want to go to university. Do I still get support from Gogoanguk, or how does it work?
That would be, of course, in our plan. So for now, we only help the Korean language program. But in the future, for sure, we are going to expand our service to the university degree seeking or master degree seeking course. So for sure, you can help it. In the meantime, we do have also like a program called the visiting program, which we're working with the Hanyang University. That would be the option for those who want to, attending the university courses. So it's similar to exchange program, but you only pay the tuition to the Hanyang University, unlike the exchange program. Other than that, everything is pretty similar to exchange program. So that would be the option for those who want to, study degree seeking course.
Okay. Thank you. And one question from Elliot. Of course, I often talk about Japan. So a lot of people following and watching this stream are students waiting to enter Japan and maybe considering South Korea because of that. And there is a question from Elliot saying, if I apply to Gogoanguk, do I have to do the application process from the beginning, or could I transfer some of my information from Gogo NIHON, like for example, my passport information, bank statement, etc. I believe probably the coordinator could also be the same person. It depends on the nationality, of course, because some nationality we have a dedicated Korean and a dedicated Japanese staff. For other nationality, we have staff that covers both Korean and Japan. But the internal process should be pretty straightforward, right? If someone already submit the passport, doesn't need to resubmit. We can just find the data from Gogo NIHON.
I mean, that's always the option. But what I can say would be, of course, preparing Japan documents is preparing Korea is much easier than Japan. So if you go through preparation process again, but you wouldn't regret to do that, because the application documents that Gogoanguk asks for Korean study is much simpler than Japan. So even though you go to from the beginning, you will have only 7 or 8 things, unlike Japan. So a simpler version of the studying Korean.
I really promise myself to be very fair in this video. I don't wanna start talking Japan versus Korea. But generally speaking, and I live in Japan, so I'm on the Japan side in that sense, right? Whatever Japan does, Korea usually does it faster and simpler. Not, of course, not everything. I'm generalizing, right? But in terms of application, since I see both processes, if you, Elliot, went through the application process for Japan and then you apply for Korea, like Eddie said, it won't be a problem at all, because it will be so much faster. Plus, you can enter right now, which I think is a huge difference. Few more questions. For 6 months, you have to prove that you have $10,000 US. Can you show your student finance that will get paid into my account at a later date as a proof of finance when I go to Korea? So I think the question is, I don't have the money in my account yet, but I have a proof that it will be paid later. Now, I think this is very personal. So we don't need to know which proof or how the money will be received, but do you have to show that you have already the money in bank account, or you can show a proof that the money will be received later?
I would say you should provide the bank balance with the money in your bank right now.
Okay.
And for another option would be, if you don't really have money in your account, then you can show your parents bank balance instead of yours, but only the parents, not grandparents or not aunt or like uncle, only the parents. And then you can provide the like family relationship letter, along with other documents. Then it's good to go.
Okay, thank you. I'll read 2 more questions also, because Mariel and Lei are waiting, and I want to say a nice goodbye. They'll be very helpful. There are already some comments in the chat saying thank you very much. It's really nice to hear from someone in Korea about studying in Korea. So I think the streaming was very helpful. But I just want to read 2 more questions. Then I'll call in Mariel and Lei to goodbye all together. So Florian is just double checking. If I apply in January, I can receive the C, in Korea is called COA. COA,
yes,
right?
COA, yes.
Did they choose A because it comes before E? I don't know, because Korea likes to be on time. COA, what the A stands for?
Certificate of the admission. Yeah.
Okay. That's actually makes sense, because you're not eligible. Actually, you're already admitted. So that's why the process is faster. You don't get an eligibility, but you get already the admission. I see. So if you apply in January, can you get the COA, the certificate of admission, in February and start in March? I think you already said yes, but I want to just double check, since seems that some people, maybe they want to start the process now.
I mean, of course, I don't want you to wait until even January. I want you to contact us right now to get like our support, and then as long as you can prepare documents, we will go fast to get the like letter of the letter for the visa, get the visa letter. So don't wait for January. Contact us now to come to next March.
So you really have all the time needed to apply. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Just last question. Sorry, from Roman again. When exactly should I come to Korea? 2 weeks before classes start, so I complete the quarantine, or even earlier?
Our recommendation would be 2 or 3 weeks ahead, as Roman said. So after the quarantine, and then you move to dormitory, the accommodation, and then like be relaxed a little bit, and then attending the course. So 2 or 3 weeks earlier would be like make sense.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Thank you very much, everyone, for all your questions. And I want to call back Lei and Mariel as well, to thank you as well. I just curious one thing about from Lei and Mariel. Have you ever been to Japan? Lei and Mariel, you been to Japan?
Oh, not yet.
Both of you?
Oh no, I haven't been yet.
No. Lei haven't. Okay. Mariel say yes. So Mariel,
I have been.
Yeah, you've been. I'm not gonna ask Eddie, because you are not. You have a side in this. But Mariel, technically, it's you're from Peru, so you don't have any. You don't have a favorite country from, before going to visit both of them. Since someone was asking in the chat about the differences between Japan and South Korea, from your point of view, and Mariel, I know that you lived in South Korea and probably you only visited Japan, so you can't really compare 100%. But what would you say is the difference from your point of view, Mariel, between Japan and South Korea?
In my case, Japan, I was in Tokyo, so when I arrived to there, all the people are really kind. When I arrived to there, they are really kind to me. They help me with my luggage. They help me with everything. So I feel like more comfy to go there. So if I have other opportunity to come to Japan, of course I want to go. I really like that. Enjoy that moment with the people. They are really kind. And yes, there's my experience about Japan.
Okay, so thanks a lot also for sharing this good experience with about Japan. Is there anything that you can find in Korea that you couldn't find in Japan, or vice versa?
In my case, in Japan, about to there are more clean. About the city, there are more clean. Yes, I think about the clean, and also other part that I like to Japan is about to I can communicate more easy with the people, because when I ask to some place to go, they answer me, so they can help me like more faster. Yes, there is no points.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marielle. Thank you very much, Lei, for today, and of course, thank you very much, Eddie, as well. It was really nice. If you have questions, even after the streaming, you can write in the comments of this YouTube video, and Eddie Gogwanguk will check and will keep replying to you. So if I couldn't answer your question, since there are other questions that came up in the past few minutes, please write a comment as well, and then Eddie will check and will reply to you. Thank you very much for watching, and Anyo, bye.
Bye.